Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a great one lined up for you today. We're going to talk about some evidence and proof, I believe, that the SEC is using clearly intimidation tactics with a decided lack of clarity. And it's not just at Ripple, it's at all the space, the entire crypto space now. And we're going to get into what may be behind that. We're also going to talk about the notion that the U.S. Treasurer says we're on track to default our national debt next month. Yeah, good morning. Ukraine passes a decree to legitimize crypto. At least somebody's moving forward. Franklin Templeton looking for a crypto trader and analyst. Yeah, a little reminder with that one when we see the news. And SEC is continuing those intimidation tactics. Coinbase may be sued over yield. I got a real good question. Where does that leave Flare? One prediction says the SEC in the Ripple case is actually already over with potential evidence revealed. And we're going to talk about that and hear from that person. And what about the XRP pullback in price? Are we still looking at $4 plus, $6 plus? I got a couple analysts that says we do. Here we go. Roll that beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Man, do I love the smell of crypto in the morning. Right now, we got $2.127 trillion market cap. We're up 3.26%. That's right. Bitcoin sitting at 46,359 right now. Full disclosure, I've been accumulating. Ethereum, 3,400 plus. Cardano, 259 back up today, 7.86%. And XRP looking at $1.12 right now, and it's up 2.23%. Careful what we call progress, though, right? Let's take a look at the range of XRP price. The low end here is at 108.21. The high end of the XRP price is 113.84. We will hear from Dark Defender and CoinsKid and their most recent analysis on XRP price and where we may or may not be going. This is all brought to you by Link2, ladies and gentlemen. From 2016 to 2020, Ripple went from a $4 million valuation to $10 billion valuation. Invest in Ripple pre-IPO right there at link2.com. It's available right now. Don't mess around. If you're not accredited, click the button, find out what you need to do to get accredited. And not too long from now, I think a good portion of everyone hearing my voice will be accredited and have an opportunity to buy private equity in these blockchain companies behind the crypto tech. And I tell you, there's a lot more companies these days that are staying private for a lot longer. So generally speaking, not financial advice, you tend to get a longer ride on your investment and a better range of investment because these companies stay private longer. So when they go public, you don't initially get that pop. As an example, $32 a share for Coinbase before it IPO'd at 400. Now it's sitting somewhere between 200 and 300, right? So you can see what happened there, and it's still trying to get its, public sea legs together underneath of it. So, and obviously I think it will do very well, but, we're going to talk about that today too. So let's get it going. Here we go. Janet Yellen sends out the Christmas cards here early and says that, the U.S. is on track to default for national debt next month. Nice. Who brought the good news bear? Somebody get her some honey. Looking right here, Ukraine says Parliament has passed legislation that legitimizes and regulates crypto assets. Maybe we could do a sit-in on one of their meetings here in the U.S., right? Oh, my goodness. But obviously, I think all of this does take us somewhere, and we're going to get into that in just a moment here. And this is from Hall of Famer Michael, who says the illustrious words of Brad Kimes come on in. Franklin Templeton, investing firm is building a crypto division. Now, we already knew a year or two ago that Franklin Templeton was building on the Stellar Network. Hello, I'm a holder of that too. Loving the news here. And now we find out that Franklin Templeton is looking to hire a crypto trader and crypto research analyst for its new digital department. So this is getting bigger and they're expanding into crypto division. I like what I'm hearing here. This is Bank XRP, who's been a Hall of Famer since the day he arrived on the scene right here. Ripple has been asking for guidance since 2013. He retweets Ryan Selkis here, who says there's no other way to say this. The chairman of the SEC is simply lying to people. Talk to us, come on in, engage, ask permission. Then a platform like Coinbase does just that, and they get a Wells notice versus guidance. Why should anyone trust the SEC or its two-faced leadership? Sorry, I threw that in there, Ryan, but I think it was appropriate. And the reality is exactly that. We saw the thread yesterday where CEO Brian Armstrong from Coinbase said, you know what, we're getting ready to launch yield returns on our platform and offer this DeFi to our customers who are very excited about it. And the SEC offers no reason why and says, you better not do that, because if you do, we're going to sue you. And Coinbase obviously says, well, can you help us understand why and what we need to be aware of here? Nothing but crickets. Nothing but crickets. But here you have Gary Gensler in his own words saying that he has expressed disappointment with the industry's response to his suggestion that trading platforms register with the SEC on the grounds that a sufficient number of cryptocurrencies qualify as securities. Talk to us. Come in, he said. There's a lot of platforms that are in operation today that would do better engaging instead of there is a bit of a begging for forgiveness rather than asking for permission. Well, there's no other way to take this than Gary Gensler is a liar. And that's a fact, because that is his words, and I've heard him say it a bunch of times. And the fact that he's told Coinbase that we are not going to tell you why we would sue you other than you better not do any kind of yield farming or yield returns with your DeFi platform. You better not launch DeFi. So now the next logical question is, what happens to Flare? Well, there's many questions. Will they be able to launch? Will they become the next target in the crosshairs of the SEC, being a DeFi platform? How come the other DeFi platforms that already exist out here haven't gotten a cease and desist? Will Coinbase be able to honor the airdrop even for Flare with the Spark tokens? All of these are very, very legitimate questions, and I tell you, they're gumming up the works here. And this is unacceptable, unacceptable. And I tell you, however loud we have been about pointing and shining a bright light on these issues, we need to do better, because this is really unacceptable. And to make matters worse, Ripple lawyers slammed the SEC response to motion that could expose regulators and the employees, officials, staffers, XRP trading history, and they don't want to cough it up. They don't want to cough it up. But you know what? I think they're going to find out that somebody, if not a bunch of somebodies over there, were actually trading, buying, and holding XRP, knowing full well that the SEC was suing them. SEC claims that the motion constitutes an intrusion of privacy for SEC employees. Ignores that Ripple does not seek any particularized information relating to the SEC employees, but completely anonymized information of a narrow scope. But Ripple's latest court filing contends that the SEC permitted XRP purchases and sales by its own employees directly undermines the SEC claims that since 2013, Ripple acted recklessly because it was so obvious that XRP was a security that they must have been aware of it. SEC counsel orally indicated that the SEC employees could not trade after the formal order of an investigation was issued on March 9, 2019. But we got 7 or 8 years cited in the complaint from the SEC that everyone should have known clearly, especially Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson, that XRP is a security, they say. But they don't want you going back before March 9th, 2019 for that other 7 years, do they? Yeah, me smell something that don't smell so good, right? And I hope that the judge smells it too and really pushes for all of this. Got a shout out to James K. Filan, who really is one of those leaders in this space that has told us, every time something comes out, he is really on the spot. And I mean, grateful for his insight and sharing all the information he has, former federal prosecutor. Looking right here, the Chosen One shares a BitBoy clip, and this is what he's been talking about, is this information that we just discussed about SEC commissioners and officials and staffers actually buying and holding XRP. And listen to what he says about this.
The commissioners of the SEC, okay? SEC says, no, we're not giving you these. This is ridiculous. It's not Ripple's concern whether or not we traded XRP or what crypto assets we traded. However, the judge said it is relevant. It may not be relevant for them to see, but I need to see it and determine if it's relevant or not. So they're going to have to hand this stuff over, it looks like. And once this happens, this is the bombshell that will end the case. When they find out that the commissioners of the SEC or employees of the SEC have been trading XRP during this time, everything will go out the window. Because then, you know what it does? Then it puts them at risk. And they're not going to be willing to do that. That's why this case, hear me now, this case is already over.
I think that is some amazing insight by BitBoy. I personally myself feel like that would be extremely damning for sure. But the real damning piece I'm waiting for is the judge to approve the fair notice defense for Ripple. And if that is done, I feel like collectively between what he just said and getting the fair notice defense approved would really force the SEC to say, okay, let's go ahead and get this thing settled. But we shall see, and I hope BitBoy is right. But looking right here, following the Securities Exchange Commission, SEC threatens to sue Coinbase, a NASDAQ-listed company exchange. A former federal prosecutor has hit out at the SEC saying they will stop at nothing to control the entire crypto space. And that's a fact, Jack, and this is James K. Filan that we were just shouting out here, who makes that claim. The SEC will stop at nothing to control the entire crypto space. This isn't just about Ripple. Coinbase accuses the SEC of using intimidation tactics behind closed doors to stop the company from launching a lending program. Now, in this moment, I think we all have to realize that it really is time to unite here. I mean, it really is time to unite. I think John Kevin Moo says it best here. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. When the SEC attacked XRP and Ripple, we tried to tell all of you CEOs that this was an attack on all of cryptocurrency industry. Did you listen? Nope. Some of you even mocked us. Unite. And it really is time to unite. There's no question about that. So with that, I just want to say, let's take a look at what we're actually seeing here. I'm going to lay some things out. Some you may have seen, some you may not have seen. But stay with me through this, because I'm telling you, this is very powerful. And we do need to unite. And I think this will be a great moment for Coinbase to relist XRP, in fact. Because what do you have to lose now? Right? The SEC has made it very clear that they are going to be the bully on the yard. And, it's without the explanation that it becomes a problem. It's without the regulatory framework and guidance, and only bullying and picking winners and losers. And by that, we need to listen to this foundational statement here, and then we're going on from there. Check it out.
I think that we need greater investor protection there. And we don't have a federal regime overseeing the crypto exchanges.
And he believes that they should be that federal regime that oversees those exchanges, just as they oversee NASDAQ and the NYSE. I get that part. If you don't think that there are some exchanges, and I'm not accusing anyone particular, but people do things, they do greedy things, just like I believe that there's officials, commissioners, and former staffers that probably participated in buying XRP or Ethereum even, knowing full well what was coming in that kind of department for decision making. But the reality here is that, there are exchanges out here that will do front running, where they raise the price of something, on top of what they've already done. And I'm not talking about just a spread. I'm talking about front running the daylights out of actual real retail investors. Obviously there's bad things that happen, so you do need to have some oversight. But what this is about, and as I understand it, is really about Gary Gensler not only getting control of the exchanges, but if you force them to have a dealer broker's license to fall within securities law and compliance, well, then what you've really done is deemed all of the assets pretty much that are on that platform as securities too. And isn't that the real goal? Is to take the majority of these assets and to have them become digital asset securities. And now all of that is under the purview of the SEC and the securities framework, the regulatory framework that already exists, from the dealer broker network to the market regulator oversight. And I have to ask, where in the hell is the CFTC and their voice on this? Anyone over there working? Paid holiday? What's happening? Because the truth of that is that a 2018 ruling from a federal judge ruled that virtual currencies are to be regulated by the CFTC as commodities. And you've heard next to nothing from the CFTC. And I believe Gary Gensler is going to further explain why that is.
So if an investor wants to trade on that Bitcoin, understanding it's highly volatile, highly speculative, but if they want to trade on that we have in place some investor protection. And that's what I was saying, I think, is a gap in our system right now.
He's asked a question by Andrew Sorkin, and it's a great question. Who is the one agency to cover this gap?
But it's a gap in our system that needs to be addressed by whom? Is that something that Congress will have to address? Because it's very possible Congress won't address it. And if they don't, is that something that you think you have an angle to address?
Well, I think that as it relates to Bitcoin, and I'm not speaking to all the other tokens right now, but as it relates to Bitcoin, while our sister agency, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, has some limited anti-fraud and anti-manipulation authority, there's no federal authority to actually bring a regime to the crypto exchanges.
And that's where he puts in his hat in the ring and says that's why the SEC should be the agency to do it. There's his reasoning right there. And, to the point, we haven't heard anyone from the CFTC truly step up and say, hey, Gary Gensler, SEC, get back in your own lane, right? Maybe there's more cooperation going on than we understand. Just like we have a real hard time figuring out why is it that Ethereum got a pass from William Hinman, which that opinion letter was adopted as true guidance by the SEC from every commissioner and staffer in the space, knowing they did an initial coin raise. And if you were invested in them in the early days, I think Vitalik says it best.
Yeah, at this point, if you're investing in Ethereum, I would say you're investing in the team and the community to a large extent.
Okay. Well, there you have it. And that's what they call an initial coin offering. And then here we have even more damning evidence here of Joseph Lubin doing some half-ass explanation of why they were not an initial coin offering, because there was no such term when we even launched our token launch, he says. And to make matters worse, he says, we only sold very explicitly to software developers and people who intended to use the system. Oh.
Ether was never considered a cryptocurrency. We always considered it a fuel, one of the first crypto commodities, something like that. And essentially because people are donating their resources, it started out quite decentralized. It was in a context in which there were nobody had heard the term ICO. It wasn't an ICO. We called it a token launch. It was sold very explicitly to software developers, to people who intended to use the system. It was not sold for speculative purposes.
it wasn't sold for speculative purposes, but last time I checked, Mike Novogratz is not a developer. Mike Novogratz is an investor. And Mike Novogratz's purchase of Ethereum proves it was not sold explicitly to developers as they claimed. And they even bragged about it in late 2015. Vitalik Buterin sold 500,000 Ethereum to Galaxy Digital CEO Mike Novogratz. In an over-the-counter transaction, he sold ETH for just 99 cents. That nest egg today be worth more than $229 million. Not bad for somebody who's not a developer or planning to use a network, just speculating on the tech and where it'll go in price. You know, how in the world is any of this not addressed by the SEC? I understand it was former commissioners who were there, but in order to clean this mess up, why is this guy not addressing that and saying, hey, I'm going after them too. They made a mistake and they're going to get fined for it and they're going to get in trouble. Got it. You know, if they did that, we have nothing to say other than we don't like what's happening. The problem is that they are picking winners and losers, just as they are allowing DeFi platforms right now to be out here doing what they're doing and then telling Coinbase, you better not do it because if you do, we're going to sue you. And then when they ask why, we get crickets. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a huge problem, and we all need to really work very hard. Contact your local representative in Congress. Ask them to take a look at this issue. Retweet it on social platforms that you're on. Share it. Whatever you got to do, let's get this even bigger than it already is, because the SEC's arrogance, it's obvious that they don't embarrass very easily. We need to raise the hype bar. Taking a look at price right now for XRP, we have $6.39 on the target, and we could go all the way back to $1.83. That's what Dark Defender says, and I love hearing it. And here we have it here from Coins Kid as well, who tells us $4.50 is still in play, but it doesn't mean that we can't come back as far as 75 cents. And if we break below 75 cents, we may be in for a hell of a downside. But we will keep an eye on the sideways consolidation to see if we continue upward to the $4 plus, $6 plus price, which does appear to be still on the horizon. That's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, share with somebody you know. Check out all the links in the description and comment box. They are trusted products and services I use each and every day, and they are vetted, trusted links. You can click on them and you won't have to worry about what's happening. And there's great specials with all those things, but you got to click the links. I'll catch you on the next one.